The Chicago Bulls, through 4 games, have not only been pure excitement to pure inconsistency to wanting to turn the TV off to wanting to rewatch a game and everything in between. This team, in 4 games, not only has shown what they have been capable of throughout the whole season, but also what most people expected them to play like when they entered the playoffs. It's been a weird series, to say the least. So, if this is your first time on the channel, my name is John. This is the Sports Advocate. Give me a like, give me a dislike, give me some criticism down below. Comment what your thoughts on the series so far are, and you might as well subscribe because I have content like this daily. But we're not going to waste any more of your time on that. We're going to be talking about the series to this point through 4 games. We're talking about some of the issues they've had, compare that to the Bucks, how they have played, and at the end here, we're going to close with what the Bulls have done well and how they can improve and possibly steal a couple more games and maybe if they go crazy, steal the series. But nonetheless, let's start with game 1. A game that I think kind of raised every Bulls fan's hopes, really showed people how wrong they were. An 86-93 loss in Milwaukee. Yes, they lose, but they only lose by 7 to a team above 60% win, which the Bulls have struggled against the Bucks, who the Bulls have struggled dearly against, and against a very offensive-heavy team and defensive-heavy team. I mean, Giannis goes both ways. Drew Holiday goes both ways. Chris Middleton goes both ways. Brook Lopez goes both ways. Both great offensively and great defensively. So, what happened? Well, the Bulls didn't shoot good. Not only did the big three not shoot good, but the team didn't shoot good. 32% field goal percentage in game 1. Not good. But, like I said, when you're holding somebody to 93 points, and that's not a thing in the NBA anymore, you're always getting above 100, 110 most of the time. And you hold them to 93, you're probably doing something right on defense, right? Well, the Bulls forced 21 turnovers in game 1, which is huge. The Bulls only turned over 11, and they got the ball from the other team 21 times. So they were plus 10 on turnover rate, but they still lose. Well, when you're shooting bad, that's going to happen. But you know what? In game 2, the Bulls win 114-110 in Milwaukee. Now, the defense, even though they played way well, wasn't as great as game 1. But they still found a way to win because the big three, Vujovic, Zach, and DeMar, had 85 points total by themselves. But the bench and the 2 remaining starters outside of the big three struggled dearly and had 29 combined. Everyone else outside of the big three had 29, which is not a great way to go get wins consistently. But the big three willed their way to victory. And, in game 3, it looked more like what people expected. And that's sad to see from a Bulls fan. 81-111 loss. 30-point loss in Chicago. The first game in Chicago in 5 years. The Bulls lose by 30 points. That's tough. They lost every statistical category. And I mean every. Rebounds, assists, points, blocks, offensive rebounds, steals, turnovers. Just keep going. Keep going. There's more. And they lost them all. They lost them all. And it was not good. But they held Giannis to 18 points. And whether that it was really good defense on Giannis or Giannis not shooting as much or as well as normal, that can be debated. But Giannis, a top-tier scorer in the league, I think he finished second or third in points per game this entire season, held to 18 points. And you still lose by 30. So take it with a grain of salt because you still lose by 30. But you held Giannis to 18. So now if you can hold Giannis to 18, you can get your big three scoring like crazy because the big three in game 2 scored more than the entire team in game 3. So if you can combine those two and get a good shooting percentage, you can go win game 4, right? No. Game 4 in Chicago, once again, a big loss, 95-119. 20 30-plus point loss, back to back. And the biggest reason is because the Bulls allowed above 50% three-point percentage for the entire team of the Milwaukee Bucks, which is horrendous. They weren't closing out well. When they were closing out, it wasn't fast enough. They were getting washed in screens. It was not good. A top-tier player is aiming for 50, 40, 90. Those are the percentages. 50 field goal, 43, and 90 free throw. That's a top-tier player in the NBA. And the Bucks' entire team totaled above 50% three-point shooting in Game 4. That is not good. But a good bonus, Patrick Williams had 20 points and 10 rebounds. Somebody that you really hope can prosper into an all-star in the playoffs showed, hey, I can really help you guys here, which is good news because in Game 1, I think he only had 23 minutes. And now he has 20 and 10 in 30-plus minutes. Pretty good news. So now let's talk about the issues. Now let's first start with field goal percentage. Now obviously in Game 1, they had 32% field goal percentage. Well, throughout the whole series, they have 40% field goal percentage. Which, again, if you're doing 50, 40, 90, you're below what you want to be at, but you're not too far off. 143 of 359 shots, 40%. 37 of 131 three-point shots, 28%. No, that's not great. Okay, well, let's compare that to the Bucks, because the numbers might not seem too bad until you compare it. The Bucks, 160 of 344. They have less shots than the Bulls, but they're shooting 47% from the field. Not good news. And 56 of 148. 38% from the three-point line the Bucks shot. 10% better than the Bulls shot. That is not good. Not one bit good. Not a single bit good. Now let's talk about bench real quick, because I talked about it earlier where 29 points from your entire team outside of your big three in a Game 2 that you did win. But the bench has not done well for the Bulls this series. The bench has 67 points throughout the entire series, which is 18% of the Bulls' total points. 18%. Not good. You really hope for more than that. And you know the Bucks one player, Grayson Allen, the man that all the Bulls fans probably hate at this point, is darn near close to 67 points by himself through 4 games, and he's coming off the bench. I think he has 2 20-point games in this series. The Bucks bench has 110 bench points in the whole series at 25%, so 7% higher. So that's going to show why the Bucks are winning these games by blowouts at times. Not good. But let's talk about a couple other statistics, okay? 44 points in the paint difference for the Bucks. 44. Now, a lot of people get upset at Vujovic for his in-the-paint defense struggles, but against a team as great in the paint as the Bucks with Giannis and Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, 44, that's not that bad. It is bad, but it's not that bad when you look at the Bucks team who does a really good job at driving to the paint, getting points, and also shooting threes. They do great at both assets. And the Bulls on, something that's also extremely important, especially when you're attacking the paint, is rebounds. The Bulls 183 to 209, 26 less rebounds than the Bucks, and it's another huge gap in offensive rebounds, which you'd really hope to get so that you're not having second chance points against you, and so that you are getting second chance points if you get offensive rebounds. Not very good. And a stat that a lot of people have been quite upset about, and I understand there's been some scenarios where there definitely should have been fouls called on star players such as Giannis, but that shouldn't change the whole game. But there is a 26 field goal difference throughout the whole series, which is pretty much a full game amount of free throws. The Bucks are ahead a full game amount of free throws than the Bulls through 4 games. Not good at all. 60 to 86. That's not good. And then you can talk about specific cases such as the quote unquote over the back call, which I don't even think is in the rule book anymore, but it should have been a foul on Giannis, especially not against Patrick Williams, and then granted Giannis free throws. But there's been some other cases where Giannis literally turns into a running back, tucks the ball, and lowers his shoulder, and it's a defensive foul. But you're not losing by 30 points and blaming the refs. Now, in game one, maybe, where you lose by only 7 points and Giannis would have fouled out with 2 minutes left, and it's called an offensive foul there instead, well, that switches the game up a lot. But who in their right mind wants to take out the best player on the court with 2 minutes left in a close game because of a silly foul? Who wants to do that? Nobody. I don't think there should have been a foul there at all. It's either on Giannis or not at all. But no way that should be on Patrick Williams. I don't think you foul Giannis out right there. But no way you give Giannis free throws after that. Okay, so now that we've talked about stats, we've talked about the bad things that have happened. We need to talk about the good things because there has been good things. And I think we all know that. And you can't only talk about the bad, especially if you're a fan of the team, which I am. And I really enjoy this team. And I did expect a Bucks win here. I think I said in 6. If it's in 5, it's in 5. I knew the Bulls would steal a game here. But we got to talk about what they've done well. First things first, defensive. They've done very well defensively. I think we all know that. But, 27 steals for the Bulls through the whole series. That's very good. That's really, really good. 27 steals in 4 games. You're averaging almost 7 per game, 7 steals per game. Extraordinarily good, especially for how well they were doing this early on in the regular season when they still had Lonzo, and they're able to do this now without Lonzo. Now, we don't know the scenario on Alex Caruso. He ended up sitting out the remainder of the game after a facial injury, after he got hit in a coincidental scenario. We don't know what fully happened at this very moment. We're not quite sure if he's going to be playing in Game 5. I would presume so, but we don't quite know at this moment. Now, that would be a huge hit if he isn't playing Game 5. But the Bulls have done very good defensively, and they've done good blocking. Now, the Bucks obviously have more blocks because, look at their team. But the Bulls have done good at stealing the ball and the turnover rate. I think the turnover rate's close, but when you're getting 21 turnovers in Game 1, that's really showing something for your defense. Another thing that I really enjoyed, especially with how bad the bench has been doing, is the bench minutes have been lowered. Now, in Game 1, I think there was 2 players that were almost at 20 minutes or were above. There's only been 2 times in the whole series where a bench player has had more than 20 minutes. They were both Kobe White. I'm not a huge Kobe White fan. I think Ayo Dosunmu deserves to have more minutes. Ayo Dosunmu did have 29 minutes in Game 4, but that was because Alex Caruso got hurt. So I'm kind of like, it's hard to say that those are bench minutes because he was forced into the starting spot with Alex Caruso getting injured. But I do like that we're trying to lower bench minutes. Now, I think some of these bench players need to play more. Ayo Dosunmu defensively definitely deserves to be in there playing more, and he does good offensively. He had some struggles as of late shooting threes, but he's a very good all-around player, even as a rookie. I think Tristan Thompson deserves some more minutes. I feel like we go really small ball sometimes when we have to take Vujovic out, and I wish that we put Tristan Thompson in more. I think he's averaging like 10 minutes per game, and I think he's capable of helping this team a lot. Even if you go put him at power forward and Vujovic at center every once in a while, just to really switch it up, it might help you a little bit. But I got an itch. I feel like it does help that we're limiting the bench minutes. I think that's going to improve, especially when the big 3 has been doing quite well, even though they've struggled at times. Next up, Nikola Vujovic has averaged a double-double throughout the whole series. Very good. And another thing for Vujovic, he has been the number 1 or number 2 scoring, like most points in the game for the Bulls in Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3. Now, in Game 4, he only had 11 points. That's not good at all. But He was fourth at that point. But he's been 1 or 2 in every single other game in the series, and a lot of people were very upset at how Vuce has been doing offensively. But I think he's done quite a good job at proving everyone wrong. Even if his field goal percentage is not as high as people would like it to be, he's still been the number 1 or number 2 in points in every game but Game 4. I don't think you can complain at that. At least you shouldn't. Especially when there's been other players that have dominated during the regular season and are struggling at this point. I think we all know who. Even though he had a great game too, DeMar has struggled. Now, I didn't bring him up in the issues because he's not an issue, but he has struggled outside of Game 2 to score as much as his capability. Why? Well, he seems to normally struggle in the playoffs. I think he gets a lot of scrutiny for it, and I don't know if he deserves all of it, but you hope to see him pick it back up like he did in Game 2 in Game 5, and the Bulls find a way to get a win. Another thing that they've been doing very well is Zach Levine. Even with his injury right now, a lot of people are giving him absolute crap, but the dude, there's no way he's walking much after he gets home or back to the hotel after those games. He's in a lot of pain. But he's been able to do a little bit of everything. Not only simple things like steals and all that stuff, the things that maybe aren't noticed as much. He's been doing good at that. But Game 1, he had 10 rebounds. Game 4, he had 13 assists. He's had, I think, 20 points or more in all but one game. He's been able to do everything and help every single way. And although it's not as explosive as we were hoping for compared to people like, Trae Young in his first series or Donovan Mitchell or Jamal Murray in their first playoff series, he has been a key contributor, and they've done that very well. So now, what must the Bulls do in Game 5, Game 6, or Game 7 if they get there to improve? Well, field goal percentage. That's clear. That needs to be the biggest improvement. Maybe work on minutes a little bit. Bring in Io a little bit more for defense. Get Kobe White some minutes, a good amount of minutes. Honestly, I'm not saying cut him down a lot. Get around 15 to 20-ish. I think that's fine. But he needs to get in his groove, in his three-point shooting form. So whether you're putting him in earlier in game to try and get him rolling or how you're doing it, I'm not sure. I think you keep giving the ball to Vuce a little bit. He's doing well. We need more people to crash the offensive rebound because Vuce can't get every single rebound. He did have 17 in Game 1, but once they realized, hey, this guy is going to go get rebounds, he's been doing very well. They just have done everything to wash him out. And when no one else is crashing, you're not going to get many rebounds, especially offensive ones. Again, the whole foul thing, that's a little bit on the refs, a little bit on the Bulls. They are constantly fouling on shots where the Bucks, I think the Bucks and the Bulls foul difference is extremely close, but the fact is that the Bucks are fouling on non-shots where the Bulls are fouling on shots, which is not good at all. Is there a window open? I hear birds. But got to work on when you're fouling, things like that. But I think those are just the key things. Field goal percentage, learning how to use your bench at the right times, and Billy Donovan is a great coach. I know you guys are slacking him like crazy. The amount of people are like, fire Billy right now, fire Billy right after the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. Billy's been the best coach we've had in darn near a decade. I'm just saying that. Billy is a phenomenal coach. This team needs some help as a roster to make it full potential. Billy is a phenomenal coach. Yes, you're going to have struggles at times, but come on, give this man a break. Not everything's on him. He can't go improve the field goal percentage for this team for them. That's a player thing. And yes, he has to put them in a scenario so that they get good shots. But I think he is. The amount of times that we're seeing open shots from these guys, from Io, from Zach, from Vuce, the amount of open jump shots that Vuce has and he will still miss, that is not on Billy. Billy's finding plays and stuff to get people open. And when they're open, they're not making as many as they should. And yes, some of it is on Billy. Clearly, some of it has to go on the coach. But you guys are putting everything on him, and I don't so much agree with that. But with everything being said, we've talked about the series up to this point. We've talked about what needs to change from the series on from this point. We talked about stats. We talked about everything that we can. Now we just cross our fingers and hope that on Wednesday, this screen that I'll be watching it on has a higher Bulls score than a Bucks score. That's all I can hope for. So, with that being said, my name is John. This is the Sports Advocate. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Anytime anyone subscribes, comments, anything like that, I really notice it and appreciate it way more than you guys could ever understand. So if you like this content, why don't you hit me with subscribe? Check out some of my other videos. Pretty much any of them. I do both NHL, NFL, and NBA content. Give me a like, give me a dislike, give me some criticism down below, and comment your predictions for Wednesday's game. Whether you're predicting a win, a loss, you're predicting points, or predict who you think will score the most points for the Bulls. But with that being said, I hope I taught you something. I hope you learned something. I hope that I made you guys smile, made you laugh. That's something that's really important to me, affects someone else's day. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.